I'm Jen Newman with Orlando Shakes, and we are here with Miranda Rose Hall, the playwright behind the Sandwich
Mhm.
Ministries. How are you doing today, Miranda?
I'm doing well. I'm so excited to be chatting about Playfest.
Well, we're excited to have you not just at Playfest, but also be chatting with us and about your play. Have you participated in Playfest before, correct?
Yes, I was part of Playfest in 2017 with my play, The Hour of Great Mercy. And it was like one of my first big opportunities after graduate school. So it holds a special place in my memory.
What is the favorite part for you about Playfest?
I mean, I think the exciting thing is just getting to work with new collaborators. And a playwright spends almost all of her time alone or at least I do, alone at my desk, just imagining how people talk and think and behave. And it's
Mhm.
just so thrilling to get in the room with actors and a director to actually dive in on a collaboration and to hear the story come to life.
Very nice. I think for a lot of people, if they haven't attended Playfest before, it's such a unique opportunity. People
Mhm.
come to Playfest and you get to discover these brand new plays. And it's wonderful because the playwright is there, you've got actors there, but you don't have the full setup of the play yet. So it's their first time being able to hear a play and eventually be able to say, I saw it first. I got
Yeah,
to talk to the director. I got to
yeah,
see how the read through went. I got to ask questions and find out about why they made certain choices. When those questions happen and coming from people, uh, do you find that it shapes the way that you maybe change the story, or have you ever changed a play because of either comments or questions that people give you?
certainly. I think that uh, the gift of a discussion is hearing what is really resonating for people and what is standing out, I guess, for better or for worse, about your work. Um, and I always walk away and think about that. And it's impossible to write a play that is perfect for everybody. So
Mhm.
sometimes you can decide, oh, that person didn't really like the ending, but I really like the ending, so I'm not going to change it. Or you can hear uh some confusion about an important plot point that you like really were hoping would land, and I can walk
Mhm.
away thinking like, oh, I really want this to be crystal clear for an audience, and it didn't it what it sounds like it wasn't crystal clear. So that's very useful feedback when I go back to rewrite.
I always find that very interesting when I hear people talk about their experiences, especially in the playwriting. And I know our audience, finds all of that interesting as well. We've talked a little bit about Playfest, but we definitely want to get into why you are coming to Playfest this year. So, without giving any spoilers, give us a brief synopsis of the play.
So this is a play. I think of this as a friendship play. It's about
Mm.
friendship and community, and it takes place on the evening um, after a really major storm in a small town. And there's been a lot of flooding, and a lot of people in the town displaced and hunkering down at the local high school. And a group of three women get together to make sandwiches to bring over to the high school. And that's the setup. And what we realize is that these three women, um, who are of three different
Mhm.
generations. There's a character in her 20s, a character in her 50s, and a character in her 70s, thereabouts. Um, and you realize that these women have a deep history together, working and making sandwiches, but that not everything is as it seems, or not everything is as it should be. That there are some conflicts that have arisen in this micro community
Mhm.
that need to be examined. And I think the question of the play is, can their friendship make it through the night? Can they repair what has been broken in their friendship?
I think I think what stood out to me when I was reading it was I feel like in so many ways it mimics especially women's friendships, right?
Mm,
Is you never kind of know what's maybe right below the surface level and what people are thinking.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
then when you find out, you're like, whoa, I had no idea that this was happening in our friendship, or you
Yeah.
felt this way and stuff like that. So I think I loved it because I really felt like it gave a really good you could feel it. It just resonates with you, you know,
Thank
and
you.
I loved it. And I think that was a great synopsis of that. What made you want to write this story? Was this anything based on, something that happened, an event that happened in your life or something, or maybe, along those
Yeah.
lines?
A big part of this play is church. This takes place in a church fellowship hall. And I have spent a lot of my life in church fellowship halls. And I had a lot of questions about faith and community. And so I had a lot of questions, yeah, about faith, community, and friendship, and sort of what happens to those things in when there's the pressure of an external crisis,
Hmm.
which we've certainly been having our fair share of crises. I started writing this play midway through the pandemic,
Okay.
um, and yeah, so I really had a lot that I wanted to mine about the particular kinds of friendships that you can find in church. And
Hmm.
I myself have a lot of intergenerational friendships that I really cherish. And it it is it can be complicated sometimes to try to stay on the same page when you know, you're in very different parts of your life, or trying
Hmm.
to empathize with your friends who have very different perspectives
Hmm.
on something that is happening in your shared community, or different perspectives on, you know, what makes something urgent, or what makes
Hmm.
some, there's a very impatient young person. I relate to all of the characters in my play. um but yeah, just trying to, through my own friendships and my family, just trying to understand some more of those dynamics, and like really try to work through what does it take to ever be on the same page as somebody else that you love.
Yeah. It takes a lot of work, that's for
Yeah.
sure. And I think I think that comes across too, in the play as well. And so I love that you've got people, and you're right. How many of us have, whether it be coworkers or friends or family, where
Yeah.
you're right, we're at different age gaps and in the struggle to understand people and where they're at sometimes in life. So I love that. Are any of these fictional characters inspired by real people? Like, is any of them like, oh yeah, that's kind of my best friend, or that's
That's
an
Aunt
aunt?
Kathy or whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I don't have an Aunt Kathy, but I think everybody in this play is an amalgamation. No, but it's not based off of like a specific mutual aid project that I've been a part of.
Okay.
Um, but the joy of being friends with a writer is that sometimes you show up and you maybe hear something that you mentioned to her one time show up in your play, but nobody is specifically based off of any one person.
Okay. Is there are you okay if we kind of talk about just your background a little bit?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
wonderful. What inspired you to want to begin your career as,
Whew.
a playwright?
Well, I didn't realize that playwrights could be alive until I went to college.
You know, you're not the only person to think that and realize that.
Yeah, which yeah, that was a really shocking revelation. and a thrilling one. I mean, I think that's one of the things that's so cool about Orlando Shakes is that, like, in honoring Shakespeare as a like new as a generator of new plays
Mhm.
in his time, it's like so uncommon that you find a theater that like really understands that that's like who he was in his day and age. And I guess it just didn't really occur to me that it was a living, breathing art form
Mhm.
until I met playwrights when I went to college. And I had been primarily a poet and an actor before becoming a playwright, and I just got kind of tired of writing like sad poems in my room by myself. And I noticed that all of the playwrights would like hang out, eat snacks, like read their plays aloud, like really be in community with each other. And you got to hang out in rehearsal with actors. It just seemed like where people were having fun. And I guess I got in it for the hang initially, and I think that's the so many theater kids can say that. I think about pursuing a life in the theater, that it just turned out to be a way that I could try to figure out what I mean, like trying to figure out how I feel about a certain subject, which is
Yeah.
it's always instructive when I'm writing a play. I'm always trying to like figure something out. Um, and then I got to do that with other people in an entertaining and fun art form was just
Mhm.
really nice. I think you can have a lot of fun in the theater that you can't have in other art forms.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think the theater definitely lends itself to a very fun atmosphere
Yeah.
and in a very different way and very much a community as well.
Yeah.
So I can understand why somebody would want to be a part of that. Do you have any experiences with writer's block? And if so, how
Oh,
difficult was the experience? And then how do you overcome that when that happens?
all the time. I mean, the scariest thing is, well, there's so many things that are terrifying about the writing process. One scary thing is finishing a project and then thinking, oh my God, will I ever have another idea? And the answer is yes, you will have another idea, but there can be a long period where you're like, I don't know, I just poured my heart and soul into something and now I feel kind of directionless. I don't know where to start. I feel like that's like one form of writer's block. And another is, I think it can really happen like 3/4 of the way through working on something where you kind of know the beginning, you know where you want to arrive, but you just have no idea how to connect
Hmm.
the beginning to the end. And I think that is um, the hardest part of any writing process is that like 3/4 mark.
Hmm.
Um, and I just I think it takes a lot of patience and a lot of faith, honestly.
Hmm.
Like, oh my God, I've done it. Like, I've done it before. I can do it again, even though I have no idea how I'm going to do this. And one piece of advice that I received once that I find very useful is that if it feels impossible, the first step isn't small enough. And so
Interesting.
that feels like it really has helped me through writer's block, where I'm like, oh my God, I feel so overwhelmed. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how to like figure out this play. And I'll try to break that down into the smallest step or the smallest question
Hmm.
possible. Like, oh, well, what do I think she's holding in her hand in this scene? Or like, what what is she thinking about in just this moment? And how is she, wrestling with that, as opposed to like, what are all of these people doing and how does it fit together to form the climax of a play? So I think that's really useful advice.
I think that's excellent advice, actually. I mean, that makes a lot of sense because you're right. When you're writing and you're worried about getting somewhere, if you've got too much going on, it's way too much to focus on. But when you
Oh,
break it down into that
impossible.
smaller chunk, it becomes so much more, I guess, easier to digest and move forward.
Yeah, and I also am a huge fan of throwing what I call a bad ideas party, where
Hmm.
if I feel really stuck, I'll just challenge myself to come up with like, you know, a list of 50 things. Like when this play started, I knew that I wanted this to be an intergenerational friendship play. I knew that it
Hmm.
was taking place in a church, but it took me a minute to land on the action, like what is bringing them together on this night of all nights. And I made a very long list of all of the things that can happen in a church fellowship hall. And that sort of cracked it open for me. But I think lists can be very, very helpful.
So you call it a bad idea party? Is that what you
Yeah,
called it?
yeah, to sort of take the pressure off of having good ideas that, you can just have bad ideas, and that's, what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
All right, so when you have your bad idea party,
Yeah.
do you put on like any type of music or anything to get you going and
You
be like,
know,
okay, we're gonna zone in because here's my bad idea party music and anthem, and this is
I
where we go.
yeah, I mean, I think it's called a play for a reason, and if you're stuck, you also need to, like, find a way to enjoy your work again, like, find a
Uh-huh.
spark of, pleasure in it. I think that sometimes can be writing can be so punishing. Um, and so, yeah, I like to turn on some music and just, yeah, bop around my apartment and be like, okay, bad ideas. Worst idea wins.
I love that. I would love to attend a party like that.
Oh, you're invited. You're invited.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so what is another piece of advice or something that you would tell somebody who's never been a playwright yet? They are just thinking to themselves, wow, this seems like something I might be interested in. What would be your suggestion for somebody brand new just thinking about even attempting to write their first play?
I think it can be really helpful. I mean, of course, it I would tailor my advice to people starting from different starting points. If you were an actor, I would say write yourself a monologue that you would really like to perform. Just like start
Hmm.
small, find a small unit, or think of an acting friend that you think is so talented and say, oh God, wouldn't it be so great if I could write something for this person? And just work on that together. Or if you aren't a performer, thinking about I think a gift is a great way to begin. So
Okay.
thinking about somebody in your life, or an earlier, maybe it's even you in an earlier part of your life, thinking about something that would bring someone you know very well some joy, and
Okay.
start challenge yourself to write like a 5 to 10 page gift play for somebody specific. You don't have to start with a full length play. That can get sort of unruly pretty quickly. But starting small, you can write 2 page plays. Uh, yeah, that can help.
I love that. Well, we are very excited to have you here at Playfest this year, and to see it being read on stage and all of that. So I know I love the play. I highly recommend, if you have not gotten your tickets yet, please head over to orlandoshakes.org and go purchase your ticket for Playfest. And of course, you could see just one of the plays, which your play is one of five, or you can buy a Playfest pass for $66. So is there
What a
anything
steal!
it is a steal, isn't it? Is there anything else that you want to tell us about your play or leave some parting wisdom or anything like that?
um, I just also I'm just excited to come down, and it's really cool. I think Orlando is such a unique art scene, and you have actors who have such a range of talents who live in Orlando, and I'm just so excited to collaborate with the people on my team. I think they're going to be excellent, and there's so much to celebrate about the arts in Orlando. So thank you for bringing me down to be a part of that.
Absolutely. Once again, we cannot wait to see you for Playfest. It's happening later this month. Make sure that you get those tickets and get them early, again, at orlandoshakes.org. Miranda, thank you so much for joining us today and for submitting your play and for coming to Orlando, because it is one that you don't want to miss.
Thanks, Jennifer.